that evil is a reality in the world, and it's a human problem, not a Christian problem.
This is David Wheaton. The following is a short take from the Christian Worldview radio program. You can hear the full program at thechristianworldview.org. How do you answer that particular question?
There's some complexity here because you raise a lot of different things, David. And I like to build kind of from the ground up on these things. And I've already started that earlier discussion about evil, that evil is a reality in the world, and it's a human problem, not a Christian problem. And if a person becomes an atheist, he doesn't get rid of the problem. He's gotten rid of one possible solution, God. Now, I think God is a solution in a couple of ways. First way is it is only in a theistic worldview that the problem of evil even makes any sense. If there is no God, there is no problem of evil because there's no source of the kind of the speed limits we talked about that end up being broken. There's got to be an authority over everything. And if that authority is God and he's not good, then there is no source of goodness in the world. There's no standard of goodness. So there's a certain sense that God's goodness is a necessary feature of the universe if there is evil in the world. The ironic thing is that evil in the world turns out to be one of the best arguments for God, not against God. Because without God, there's no problem of evil, and that doesn't mean everything's good. It means that there is no good or evil at all. There's no category like that because there are no laws that govern humanity, humankind in the world. In a strange way, just understanding the problem turns out affirming not only God's existence, but the goodness of God. But that does raise the question, how is it that a good and powerful God would allow the kinds of things that happen in the world that happen? Now we're talking about the why would God question. Those questions are the hardest to answer because that requires that we know something about the mind of God, and oftentimes regarding that particular question, he hasn't told us. And so we speculate. Those speculations regarding the problem of evil are called theodicies. What would be a good reason? And there are different ways that people have unpacked this, and probably multiple theodicies play into it. But I think one of the most useful ways of understanding this is that why would a good God who is powerful, who could stop evil, why would he allow it? And he's allowing it because of another thing that's good. He made human beings to be the kinds of creatures that he could be in relationship with. He could have a friendship with us. Now, there are a lot of creatures that God made, but none in his image that had certain qualities that made it possible to have a meaningful relationship. And one of those things was that human beings are moral creatures. That means they could participate in virtue, do virtuous good things, which is what God wanted, but also because of the nature of morality in human beings at this stage, they could also make choices not to do the good thing. So there's a free choice element here. When people say, well, why would God allow blah, blah, blah? Why doesn't he intervene? Are you saying you want God to intervene in every single thing that you are choosing to do in your life that's not right? I don't think you'd want that because we value our freedom to make choices. And there's a trade-off there. And that's part of the trade-off. I think that's one of the most compelling things. Now, because there is human beings are the kind of individuals, creatures, whatever, that can be in productive, meaningful, satisfying relationship with God, and that entails having a moral nature and moral freedom, which also entails the possibility of using that freedom to do ill. Well, that's the kind of thing that we're facing right now. Evil is part of our story. In other words, it's not a foreigner here. It fits right in. How could the world be this way? Well, this is what our story describes. This is exactly the kind of world you'd expect it to be if our story were true. And our story's not over yet. And this is the other part that's so important here. We can make sense of the problem of evil because of God's existence. We can make sense of the reality of evil given that God is good and powerful because God gave us a good thing, moral freedom, that we use for bad. Okay, now what? Well, God's got a cleanup operation. He's got a rescue operation. And that's in process. Right now, he's rescuing individuals who do evil. Ultimately, he'll rescue the entire thing and transform it. But when that time comes, As C.S. Lewis put it famously, when the author walks on the stage, the play is over, right? So now is a time, 2 Peter tells us in chapter 3, that God is exercising patience to extend mercy as an example of his goodness. So we receive mercy rather than the justice we actually deserve. And if we don't want to take the mercy, that's up to us. But now we're going to have to face the music in the end, because there will come a time, okay, game's over. Now it's time to settle scores. And that's not going to be a pretty picture for a lot of people. Everybody lives forever, but everyone does not live happily ever after. And so God is working all of those details out. This is the biblical account, is the best characterization and explanation of not only the reality of evil, but how evil is resolved over the long haul by God himself.
This has been a short take from the Christian Worldview radio program. To hear the full program and connect with this nonprofit radio ministry, go to thechristianworldview.org. I'm David Wheaton.